Good morning, students. As you can see, I am Mrs. Nell, teaching mathematics, and you are the teachers. So make sure you study all your mathematics, not only the first few chapters. Here we see the numbers. There are always questions on numbers in your exam paper and also in your assignments. So look carefully. What are irrational, rational numbers, whole numbers, natural numbers, all the real numbers represented there on the graph, as you can see. There are always something about enlargement or rotation, all the three types of transformations. Study those, and it's normally 2 or 3 questions. For example, for enlargements, it's always the position of the center of enlargement as well as the scale factor that you have to work out. There you see an example of a small bug becoming a big one, but it can also be a bigger one that is becoming a smaller picture, but we still call it enlargement. How do we find the scale factor and the center of enlargement? There is an example. You copy the triangles and you join the points A1 plus A, as well as B and B1, C and C1, and where the lines meet. Always do this with a ruler. Where the lines meet, there is your center of enlargement. And your scale factor, in this case, it is 4 blocks divided by 2, so the scale factor will be 2. And there you see some transformations, the one mapping onto another one. For example, the first one, A maps onto B by means of enlargement. The scale factor is 3, and the center of enlargement is the point -7, -7. The next one is A maps onto C by means of rotation of 180 degrees about the point 0, -6. The 0 is for the x value and -6 for the y value. The last one, A maps onto D by means of reflection in the line where y is equal to 0. How do we add and subtract expressions? If we add the x squares to each other, the x values to each other, as well as the numbers you add together. When you subtract, number 2, for example, you have to subtract 6x squared from 11x squared. So we have to swap them around. And then, if you have subtraction, minus, then the signs are all changing. So note that the sign changes due to multiplication by -1. And don't add your x values to the x squared values, for example, or to your whole numbers. The solution stays 5x squared minus 4x minus 15. The laws, you must study your laws, you must study your rules, you always have to study your formula. It will not be given in the exams or in the assignment. The laws, for example, a to the power m times a to the power n will be a to the power m plus n, so you add. The next one, number 2, if you have the division, then you have to subtract m minus n. So the bases are the same, it's a and a. Number 3, there we multiply m times n. Number 4, in that case we will say a times b in brackets to the power m. And if we have to divide a divided by b, then it is m minus m in that case, or to the power m in that case. There are examples of the laws. Let's look at law 2, m to the power 8 divided by m to the power 3, it will be m to the power 8 minus 3, so the answer m to the power 5. So we can generalize this by stating a to the power 1 over m will be the root of a, and the m will be standing there. For example, let's look at example number 1. 1000 to the power 2/3 will be the root of 1000, and the 3 will be there, to the power 2. So then it will be 10 to the power 2, which is 100. So go through your examples very carefully before you start writing exams. The angles in polygons and circles, this you also have to study. A triangle has 3 sides, quadrilaterals all have 4 sides and 4 angles. The pentagon 5 sides, hexagon 6 sides, and octagon 8 sides. If it's a regular polygon, it has equal sides and angles. For example, a square is a regular polygon with 4 sides and 4 angles. Each of the angles will be 90 degrees. And these are flat shapes with 3 or more straight sides. The interior angles of a polygon, how do we find it? We know that the sum of the interior angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. If it's a regular polygon or a regular triangle, it will be 180 divided by 3, so each angle will be 60 degrees. Let's look at the 5 sides, the pentagon. It can be divided into 3 triangles, and if you are working with students, let them draw the line so they can see it makes up 3 triangles. So 180 times 3, which is 540 degrees. The regular pentagon will be 540 divided by 5. So the 5 sides can be divided into 3 triangles. And then these rules you also have to study. The angle in a semicircle is always 90 degrees. So in this case, angle APB will be 90 degrees. AB goes through the center of the circle, which is O, and then the triangle will always be making an angle of 90 degrees. Number 2, the angle between a radius and the tangent is 90 degrees, as you can see there in the diagram. 0 is O is the center, and then line AB forming 2 angles of 90 degrees. Number 3, the tangents to a circle drawn from the same point outside the circle are always equal. In this case, angle OAP is the same size as OBP, and both are 90 degrees. And AP is equal to BP. For example, fill in all the angles that you know, and then you will find the solutions of the angles that you need to answer. So fill in as far as possible what you know. Then tessellations, always nice for the learners to do these tessellations and color in the pictures and drawing circles. They like doing this, for example, at the end of a term. And you can see some of the shapes that are congruent. They have the same shape and the same size. And if you combine them, how it looks like. When we write equations and solving them, for example, there is a certain number and it is doubled, then we have to add 7, and the sum is equal to 37. To find the number, solution, let the number be x. So double, so 2x, and add 7, so plus 7. And the sum is equal to 37, so equal to 37. Much less writing than the English that you had there at the top. So mathematics is shorter. So 2x is equal to 30. We divide by 2 on both sides. So 1x is equal to 15. The number that we needed is 15. Then here we have some examples. 3 friends are in a shop and they spend money. So we can say in the solution, x plus 2x plus 4x is equal to 105. We can add the x's together, so 7x is 105 and 1x is 15. So the first one spends 15, the second one 30, and the last one 60 Namibian dollars. Number 3, find the value of x. We know that a straight line forms 180 degrees. So we can say x plus 20 plus 40 plus x is equal to 180. And we can find the value of x. Then we can find all the different angles, the 3 angles that were formed there. Functions. In general, we need to know the formula. For example, number 1, the area of a circle. Now, always write down your formula first and then you carry on. You might get marks for your formula even if your answer is wrong. So area is equal to pi radius square. And remember that circumference of a circle is C is equal to 2 times pi radius. So there's a difference. Learn your formula. So then you can find your areas of the circular flower beds. Look at the examples. Price and the total and the VAT. We can write down a function equation to find the VAT. The VAT must be given because it's not always 15%. And there you can look through the examples to find the answers. Drawing and interpreting straight line graphs. Most of the students have problems here with the graphs. A straight line graph you always have to draw with a ruler and a pencil. So make sure you have a pencil and a ruler in the exams. Also the same calculator that you were using when you were studying. For example, for the equation y is equal to x minus 1, you must complete the following table of values. You always get marks for filling in the answers there. To find it, I hope you all know how to find it. You have the x value, so you substitute in your formula to find the y values. And look, there's always a pattern. For example, if you look at number 1, x is minus 2, x is minus 1. And then if you have the answer for the y values, there's also a pattern. Minus 5, minus 3, minus 1, 1, 3, 5. There must be a pattern, otherwise you will not get a straight line. So make sure your answers are making your pattern. And when you draw the line, label it. It is y is equal to 2x minus 1. You draw it with a ruler, you plot your points, and there you have your line. Because sometimes another graph is asked on the same pair of x's, x values and y values. And make sure your numbering is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the same distance all the time between minus 1 and minus 2 and minus 2 and minus 3, for example. And write down your x line and your y line. Okay, the frequency table shows the scores obtained when a die was rolled. There are the scores, the frequency, how many times it happened, and the total. And then we take the f times x, the frequency times the x, and then we get the sum of that. Then they said we must draw a graph. There you can see the graph very neatly. We start from 0, 2, 4, 6, and so the distance is always the same. And neatly you write down your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all those lines you draw with a ruler. I see some students do not even use a ruler. So there's the bar graph. Then we have to find the mean. The mean, most of the students have problems here to find the mean. we must say 1 times 4 plus 2 times 6 plus 3 times 5, and so you carry on to find the 158. And then we divide it by the total frequency, which is 41. So the mean score is the sum of x times f divided by the total of the frequency. And leave your answer as 3,9. Don't make it 4. Don't round it. The median is the middle score. So there were 41 scores, so the median is the 21st score. We arrange the scores from the lowest to the highest, and then we find the median, the middle of the scores. So this means that the 21st score will be 4. So the median is 4. The mode is a score that occurs most often. We also can say it has the highest frequency, and the mode is also 4. Bearings, we always start from north. Remember that. We start from north going clockwise. North to the east, 90 degrees, and so we can carry on to the different answers. Using a protractor to find or draw bearings. Remember that you must bring along your protractor and your pair of compasses to the exams. There are always constructions. I like constructions. And the angles are smaller than 180, then we put down the protractor, as you can see there in the diagram, and we start from the top north, and we measure it exactly. And when you draw your lines, you use your pencil and a ruler. If the angle is greater than 180 degrees, we know that from north to south is already 180 degrees. Then we can just carry on and add the number or the degrees that we need. How do we find an unknown angle in a right angle triangle? In this case, we can use tan theta, so the opposite over adjacent, so 8 divided by 6,2. And please make sure you know how your calculator works, so that you can find the correct answer. The calculator shows that number. We round it off to 1 decimal place, so theta will be 52,2 degrees. Right, there are some more examples. The volumes of prisms. Remember that you need to study the formula. It will not be given in the exams. Some students do not know their formula. So the volume of a cube is sine to the power 3. So S times S times S. The cuboid, it will be the length times the breadth times the height. And the circular prism, the volume of the cylinder is pi radius square for the base, which is a circle, and the area is pi radius square times the height. The last one, to find the volume of any prism, we take the area of the base times the height. Probability, very easy. It seems to be difficult, but it's not difficult. Number 1, we can calculate the probability of an event happening by using the formula. The number of desired outcomes divided by the total number of outcomes. Number 2, the probability of an event where the outcome is certain is always 1. And where the event is impossible, it is 0. Number 4, the probability of an event not occurring is 1 minus the probability of the event occurring. For example, let's look at the first one, number A. It's a die again. If there's a 2, we know that there's only one 2. So it will be 1 out of 6. A die has 6 sides. Number B, an even number. We know that 2, 4 and 6 are even numbers. So 3 over 6 and simplify 1/2. If we go to number D, if a number can either be a multiple of 3 or not a multiple of 3, probability that the outcome is not a multiple of 3 will be 1 minus 1/3. So it will be 2/3. And so we can carry on. You can look at the next examples as well. To solve a quadratic equation, we must rearrange the equation in the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And a, b and c are numbers. We factorize and then we solve the question. Here are some examples. Number 1, you have to solve x. So either x is equal to 3, or we can say 2x plus 1 is equal to 3. Right. So if you look at the next one, if you simplify or you multiply, then you get 2x squared plus x minus 3 is equal to 0. And then you can factorize 2x plus 3 in brackets, x minus 1 in brackets is equal to 0. So we will have x is equal to minus 3 over 2, or x will be equal to 1. The same with number 2, we do the same, rearrange, factorize, and then either the first bracket is equal to 0 or the second bracket is equal to 0. Let us summarize the properties of the quadratic graph, the parabola, the graph. There you see the formula, ax squared plus bx plus c. It is symmetrical about a vertical line, and we call it the axis of symmetry. It has a minimum value at its turning point when a is positive. If you look at your diagrams, when a is positive, so a is greater than 0. Your axis of symmetry, here you see it, at the turning point, it has a minimum value. If a is less than 0, for example minus a half or minus 6, then the turning point is a maximum value. Your graph will look like the second one. And the center axis of symmetry, there you see the line that is drawn. When you use it, the parabola, to solve your equations, many students have a problem by drawing this graph. You see, it's a smooth curve. You draw it with a pencil, with your free hand, not with a ruler. And it must be a smooth curve that you see there. And look at your x's as well, x and y. To find the answers that they were looking for example, number A, what is the equation of the axis of symmetry? Let's look at the answer. The axis of symmetry is x is equal to 1.5, 1,5. If you look at your line that you see there, 1.5, there is your equation. So go through these examples, make sure you know how to do this. It's not difficult, it seems to be difficult if you look at all the lines that were drawn there. But if you go through this, you'll find it's very easy. Number 2, if you have to draw the graph of y is equal to 4 minus x squared for the values of x from minus 3 to 2, it only means that your x line must be marked from minus 3 up to 2. Okay, let's look at it. Then we have to plot the graph. You have to substitute and find your y values. And if you draw your graph, it looks like this one. Because your a value was negative. Smooth curve. And we can read off all the answers from it. If you look at the meanings of or the thinking required by verbs, analyze, calculate, comment, compare two values with each other, the contrast, and so on. Define, demonstrate, describe, determine. Determine means use the information given to work out the answer. Sometimes you have to discuss something or distinguish between things. Right, go through these questions, the words that might be given, what it means, for example, find or identify or illustrate using a graph or whatever, or summarize. Go through these verbs that will be given as questions. Good luck with the examinations, and make sure you know all your rules and all your formula and all your laws, and study everything, not only the numbers or the beginning of your book or the beginning of your work. Study up to the end and make sure you know how to draw graphs, and make sure you know how to do your constructions. It will always be in the exams. Good luck, it will go well. Mathematics is nice and easy because you have a calculator, a protractor, a pair of compasses that you can use, and you don't have to write a lot. You have to think a little bit and write only the answers. Thank you.